Well, good morning. It's Breakfast with the Broker every Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. As you can see, I'm not in Boca Raton anymore, and I'm not in Kansas either. So I am in Mexico live, and I have a very exciting guest. So without further ado, and now, she is the #1 RE/MAX agent in Broward County, Florida, and by way of Coral Springs, Florida. She's a boss lady at RE/MAX Direct. She's a former psychotherapist, which obviously led her to the real estate industry. She is a mother, daughter, sister, wife, and top producing realtor. Stand up and make some noise for Laura Shiso Senders.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Very well. So tell me a little bit. You get into this real estate thing, and you weren't always in the real estate industry, were you?
Well, I don't know. It wasn't too far into my life that I got into it, but I've been in it for more than half of my life because I was doing it while I was a psychotherapist. I was flipping houses when it was easy to flip houses. You could actually find a house to flip. I just, when I was getting my master's degree to be a therapist, that's when I actually ended up getting into the real estate industry. I met a RE/MAX agent actually in a nightclub, and he's like, "You want to buy some investment property?" I'm like, "Sure, let's do it." I had extra time. I don't know what that is today, but I had extra time. I went out. The first property he showed me was a 4-unit cottage building right 1 block from Pompano Beach, and it was $260,000. So with 4 units, you had to put 25% down. I was literally like 21 years old, and I was like, I don't know where I'm going to get all this money. I had most of it. So I went to my brother, who was a little older, said, "Hey, can you want to do this together?" He goes, "If Daddy says it's okay, I'll do it." My dad said, "A hurricane's going to come and it's going to blow this away." And I said to myself 10 years later, if I only knew, I would have been like, "Please blow it away." But now you don't want that to happen because insurance is very hard.
So, it's funny because you said something very interesting because, you were at a nightclub and a RE/MAX agent asked you, "Hey, you want to do this?" And too many times we don't ask for business. And as real estate agents, what I always tell real estate agents is that, listen, if you don't ask, you're obviously not going to receive. But the other thing is there are agents out there, which we're 1.5 million agents in the National Association of Realtors, that just aren't good. And you don't want to chance a client or consumer to have a bad taste in their mouth over the real estate industry because you let someone go. So you really do need to ask, don't you?
Oh, yeah. I make it a joke. I'm pretty, I think I'm funny, but I make it a joke when I'm with people, In fact, my husband says all the time that you could be in a conversation. Everybody could be at a dinner table having a conversation. I don't hear anything till somebody says real estate, buy a house, sell a house. All of a sudden, my ears perk up like a dog. And I'm like, what? I'm pretty deaf, to be honest with you, after working in a nightclub. And I could be in a restaurant and all of a sudden I will hear, people talking about real estate. I could hear conversations in the background and I'm like, but I don't say anything a lot of times when, I don't like drop my card off or anything like that. That's kind of rude, but because you really should, it's an AB conversation, probably should see my way out. But yeah, so I constantly tell people all the time, I'm like, if you're looking for a good realtor, I know one, I was in somebody's house the other day and they had taken my pads and stuck it underneath in their laundry room. And I said, I pointed to it and she goes, "Oh, no, we just write on those because we like the to-do pads." And I said, "No, that's me." And she's like, "You sure that's you?" I'm like, "I promise you, that's me." And so obviously I don't look like what I looked like before. Yes, Adam, that's Laura.
That's funny. So, you really built, over 2 decades of being in the real estate industry. You really built a amazing business and helping lots of consumers and whatnot. If you could give top three, best practices or advice to agents that maybe just want to level up, want to go from the next level? Maybe someone who's been in the business 2-3 years and trying to, go, six figure or 250 or 300, GCI and getting into the higher volume. What would you give advice to?
So there's a couple of things. Like, first of all, I don't feel that I'm at my best, and I'm not producing at my best, to be honest with you. Like, I could do better. I'm not as organized as I would like to be. As you see all my stuff back there, and I'm trying, but it's hard. And I just moved offices. I was with the same company forever, the same Remax. And, but one of the things is organization. When you're new at this and you only have a few files and a few names, stay consistent. Stay consistent on putting those people into your CRM. Stay consistent on being on top of those people. I mean, I'm pretty good at it, but I'm not great at it. I'm not great at anything. I learn every single day. I can't even tell you something that I learned yesterday. Like, every day I'm learning, and you have to be wanting to learn. So again, every time you close a file, that person should be in your CRM, in your sphere, in your follow-up system. I found that I wasn't taught that from the very beginning, because I don't think real estate was the same as it is today back then. I don't think people took it as seriously. I think that they have the potential for the money in this business is unbelievable. I mean, and I don't think that when I first started that it was conveyed to me how amazing this profession is. And I don't think it's considered a profession. I think it's considered being a used car salesman. But I have to tell you, I have a master's degree, just like a lawyer has a degree. And I have to tell you, we have the potential to make more than a lawyer does. And a lawyer has the potential to make more than we do. But being a lawyer is being sales. And it's the same thing. So you have to treat this as if it's a business and it's a profession. This isn't a hobby, and it's surely not flexible. When people tell me this is flexible, I laugh. I said, it's flexible if you want to make $300,000. And by the way, guys, that's an amazing amount of money. Like, I'm okay with 300. Well, I'm not okay with that, but I'm okay with that. Like, you can live a great life on that. So, that would be like the first thing is you got to stay organized. You got to take all your people and put it in. The next thing that I would say is you gotta hire somebody. You need to have support. You really do. And the reason why I say that is because I can tell you when my kids were little, I was up till 1 o'clock in the morning doing that $15, which was probably $10 an hour paperwork back then, doing that $10 an hour paperwork. Don't be scared. Hire somebody. Like, you know what? The more you have to spend money to make money. And even though you're spending money, you're going to make more money. And you can't make that more money unless somebody else does that other stuff for you. Like, it doesn't make sense for me to be sending out the thank you letter when the listing comes in. I write my handwritten cards myself personally. I do that. And I'm going to tell you, like, I'm crazy. Like, I'm busy. I'm a nut job. Like, but the thing is that by doing these little things that I should have done sooner and not be scared and have somebody to tell you not to be scared is really important. And no better person to tell you than somebody that's done it themselves, because you have to be present for your family. And the other thing, you have two things in your life, right? It's your health and your family. Everything else doesn't matter. If you have no health, what are you making this money for? And I'll be the first to tell you, like, I'm 100 pounds more, no joke, than I was. I'm actually on a thing.
See, you're busy now. It's great.
Yeah, it's next to her. Like, sorry, yeah, nobody knew I was on this because nobody was here when I got here this morning. Anyway, so where was I saying? I was saying you need to be present, and I have to say I was horrible about being present for my kids. My kids have the perception that my phone is tied to my ear. Like, they used to make the joke, you should just sew it in, never remove it. That's what they made AirPods for, I guess. But I don't use that. I'm going to die of brain cancer from holding it to my head. So, I'm much heavier than I was when I started this business by far. And I have my own problems of getting myself to do. So I think it's good for people to hear that I have my faults in how I do my business, because I get stressed out. It's not even that I care about them. I do care about the money, but I don't care about the money. I care more about closing the deal and getting it done and knowing that I've accomplished something. So when things go wrong, I like to eat, not gonna lie, like that's my thing. I like to eat, and not healthy stuff. Like I like fried chicken fingers and things that are comforting. Not, I'm not getting a quinoa salad like Adam Doctor probably is.
Well,
So
and it's interesting advice because staying present is probably one of the most difficult things to do, because you're trying to balance everything, and you feel like sometimes it may be overwhelming and such. How do you continually keep your mindset to where you are staying present?
So I get up the same time pretty much every single day. I run my business pretty much, it's like 24/7. If all of a sudden things are starting to slow down, I freak out. I'm like, I'll start asking other people, and they're like, why are you asking me? And I'm like, I'm just curious to know. Like, I don't think that I'm anything special. I think what I'm willing to do that other people aren't willing to do is, this was my hobby when I started it. Remember, I was a therapist. This was a hobby for me. This is something that I enjoyed doing. I love decorating houses. I love doing all that stuff. So by loving to decorate, that was for me, like, that. This just turned into like, now it's my hobby versus also my job. So, I
how
spent
did you transition?
80 hours. What?
Because a lot of people have, similar story to you, right? They either, nowadays,
Usually.
they got laid off for COVID, or they decided to want to do something else, and they looked at it and they said, you know what, if I work this part-time, if I make, 3-4 deals a year, I'm good. How did you transition from a hobby to obviously a profession and career?
So I worked 2 nights a week at Brews Room in Pompano Beach. So I was making enough money for to pay my car, because I had a BMW and I had a really nice house. But my job as a therapist, if I told you, I made $1,151 biweekly as a therapist with a master's degree. So then I was doing extra work on top of that. That's nothing. $1,151. You make more doing a rental, right? So if you did 2 rentals a month, you were making, now rentals weren't that expensive back then, but just, if you were doing a couple rentals or whatever. So what ended up happening is I just started giving people my card and saying, I do real estate. Believe it or not, I have not worked at Brews Room in 13 years. And I have gotten multiple calls from people that were my regular customers on Thursday night outside on the bar. And they call me to sell their house or do whatever. So, I mean, that's what I was doing. I was working as a bartender. I was working as a therapist. There was no money in therapy with a master's degree. So then I was doing this part-time. So the first year, and I had to give 50% of my commissions to Jim and Suzanne Dunn. And my first year where I was really doing this, I made $50,000 giving half of my money away. I didn't make $50,000 with a master's degree. So you do it for a couple of years and you're like, okay, I need my head examined. I'm working 40 hours. When I quit my job, God, the lady that was my boss, her son's a realtor now, and he's probably watching this. And when I quit my job, when they probably looked at the search history on my computer, they were probably like, was this girl like doing therapy or was she searching for houses? I mean, I was on the MLS all the time at work. So, but it was a different market. You could get away with doing that because you could actually buy a house and think about it. You could call me and say, Laura, I want to buy a house. And I'd be like, okay. And I'd send you properties here and there. We'd go here, I couldn't go till Saturday because I was working all day, or I couldn't go till the night. It wasn't, you got to go right now, right now, right now, right now. This is the problem right now, is that we can't have a life. We can't be present in this market. There is no way to get around it. And if you're feeling frustrated, you have the right to feel frustrated because there's no way. They are not committed to us. even, I mean, you get them to sign a buyer's broker's agreement. They're gonna hate you by the end if you keep saying, I can't go, I can't go. You need to go, and you need to go right now. And if you don't go right now, they'll go to somebody else. You
It's
know,
true. You have more,
this is
they
a
have more
horrible
choices.
market. It's a
It
horrible
is,
market.
people look at it and, they see the glamour of selling Sunset and all, $1 million listing and such. And, all these high priced homes, agents are doing to me, they're doing, a disservice to our profession by constantly posting, I sold this, look at this, look at that, look at that, look how great I am,
Yeah.
and so when you boast, consumers' eyes are like, oh, they're making all this money and they're doing all this and they're not doing the work and such. So, how do you kind of navigate through, consumers constantly saying, hey, I want you to discount. I want you, to, work on a day that maybe you had reserved for your family. How do you create your business based on, the way that mindsets of consumers have changed?
So that's a great question. And one thing that I did, because I'm not going to lie to you, I cried and cried to Suzanne when I worked for her. I cried and cried. And I said, I can't do this anymore. Like, I just felt overwhelmed. Like, I don't know if you've ever been a server and you feel like you're in the weeds and you're like, you got to get to every table and you just can't. And they need a refill on their drink and they're looking for their soup and your food's ready to be delivered. Sometimes you feel like you're just spinning around and you're like, oh my God, I got to get to this person. And they're all off on work at the same time. And they're like, they all want to see a house at the same day. You can only do one thing. So again, what I said earlier is, so now I have a full-time assistant that does paperwork. Well, now I'm busy. She can't do all the paperwork and put the listings in. So now I had to hire a transaction coordinator, right? So now I have a transaction coordinator and, listen, you only pay them when you have a deal. They don't get paid if you don't have a deal. So that's good, right? And then I hired somebody that gets paid a percentage of every single one of my deals. But when I can't go, she has to go. So if I can't be there, I need someone for backup. And that's the thing. Like, you got to be willing to let your money go. You have to let it go. And if you're not willing to let it go, then you're going to let your health go. I mean, I'm still not perfect at it. There's things that I do that I know I shouldn't be doing, but I want to be there. I want my customers. I don't want them to say, where did Laura go? Where's Laura? I don't want to be that realtor that doesn't engage with my clients. So I'm not willing to let that go. And that's my problem. That's my issue. And everybody's going to run their business differently.
Yeah, no, leveraging yourself is so, it's so tough these days. With all the noise and distractions that come on in our careers and in our real estate business. And, you have now 220,000 licensed realtors in the state of Florida, and you have another 250,000 of licensees that aren't members of the National Association of Realtors. So nearly 500,000 realtors in the state of Florida, or I should say real estate like agents in the state of Florida. So, I mean, you're talking about a lot of competition, a lot of people, picking one off and this off, and we're having to deal with consumers that are having bad experiences. Well, when you have 500,000 real estate licensees, yeah, you're going to have a lot of bad experiences. So what I encourage real estate agents all the time is, listen, they need you. These consumers need you. You have to solicit for business more now than we ever had before, because the person next to him might be not a good realtor, might not be ethical, might not, do right by the consumer. And that you're guilty by association, right? So we need to perpetuate professionalism in this industry. And just like, we do collaboration, we need to collaborate more. We're not competitors. We are collaborators, and we have to continually try and, propel the industry forward, just like you do.
I'm trying anyway.
Well, you're doing a great job.
Yeah.
So you hired your real. At what point in your business did you end up hiring your first real estate assistant?
So I had my first one probably. I went through a lot in the beginning, I have to say, because I didn't want to pay a lot because I was scared, and you get what you pay for. So I want to say, though, the one I have now has been with me for 6 years. And the one I had before that, so she's actually my licensed agent that works with me. So she's been with me on and off for over 10 years. I hired her back, of course, right when COVID was coming out. And I was like, oh gosh, now I got to put you on hold till we figure out what we're doing. So she came in COVID, but she was with me the 3 years before I hired the last girl. So I've definitely had an assistant for at least over 10 years. And I've been, and it's funny too. I think you got to figure out what you're trying to do, and you need help to do that. And I think I wouldn't say that coaches helped me. I'm going to be honest. I would say that me going home at nighttime on my iPad and Googling, how do you get better at this? How do you do this? How do you do that? And just listening and kind of looking, because it was never really at the beginning. I never thought I would be the number one. That was just never I never shot for that. In fact, one year I was number 5 in the state of Florida for RE/MAX. My kids, and they were little then, and they said, Mom, how come you're not number 1? I go, okay, so would you like to never see me? And then I became number 1. And what's funny is they got to see me more, because even my husband will tell you, like, we were the other day, we were at, we took my mom to brunch, and we were there, and he said to my mom, he says, your daughter's gotten so much better. My mom's like, she's been like this since she was little. Like, I mean, I was selling floppy disks to the kids in school when I was in 5th grade. I had my first job at 10 working in a florist in New York. I mean, working is in my bones, So
That's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I had somebody one time ask me, they said to me, it was kind of rude, actually, I have to say, I don't understand why you sell as much as you do. And I was like, okay. I said, so what time is it? She says, it's 11 o'clock. Says, what are you doing? She goes, I'm getting ready to get in the shower. I said, so that's what I do and what you do. I am already at the office. I am already working. You're just now getting into the shower and getting out of your pajamas. So I get offended by that when people say to me, I don't understand what you do. Well, you don't need to understand what I do.
Agreed.
You need to be you, and I need to be me, and I will help anybody and everybody that knows me. And a lot of people on here, like, I know them, and they know that I am probably the nicest person to them. Like, I will go out of my way for anybody. Some people will be like, oh, you can't be a hater. You got to be a joiner. You got to, if you don't know me, like, if you know me, you will know that I will go out of my way. I will do anything for you. I'm probably the best gift giver you've ever met.
So I always wrap up the conversation with 2 questions. One is, what's your favorite streaming series of all time, like Netflix, Hulu's streaming series, and what are you currently watching?
Okay, so normally I usually can't find more than one thing to watch at a time. Now I am all over the flipping map. I'm watching. I just finished You last night.
It got old for me after the second season. I don't know.
It was a whole different season. The third, you got to see it. It went a little off the. Yeah. I can't wait for Dexter to come back, because Dexter's coming. I do like The Good Witch. I do like. So
you're sick and twisted, just like me. Perfect.
Oh, but then I watched The Good Witch, which, it's nice to be in other people's lives, like in their little small towns, and you feel like you're, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. And then I'm watching Bosch on Prime. Mm-hmm. I'm kind of, I'm watching Bosch. My husband said I wouldn't like it, and then I liked it. So I go, great. Now you don't even know me. And stupid stuff like, what is it? It's not Dallas. It's oh my God, it's the other one that's, I can't even think of the name. So I'm like all over the place. And I do probably come home, and probably about 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, I do get onto Netflix. I watch it from my iPad. But I'm kind of all over the place with different. So that answers that question.
That's awesome. Yeah. Laura, you've been amazing. Just to sum it up, be consistent, hire an assistant when you get to a production level that you need to, and, be present. It's important to be your family, your health, and all of that, and do right by your customers, and they'll continue to come back. Laura Sanders, you're awesome, and I really, really appreciate you coming on Breakfast with the Broker every Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. Thanks,
Wait,
Laura.
where's my breakfast, though?
Oh, it's there might be Uber Eats is coming. See, you know what the funny thing is about the breakfast? So that's what I used to do. Is my stick was like I bring breakfast and we would meet in person and we do a secret handshake. And so we do the secret handshake, and then COVID happened. Well, now I can't give you breakfast and I can't meet you in person and I can't shake your hand. So now I got to do the virtual world.
Anyway, thank you for
But
having me.
we will get breakfast. Breakfast is on me, and we will definitely get together.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Laura. Appreciate it. Have a great week.
You too. Bye-bye.